Огромное спасибо. Мне бы хотелось предоставить слово представителю из Италии, Мауро Салвис, генеральный секретарь Европейского института охотничьего и спортивного оружия. Пожалуйста.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the kind invitation. My name is Mauro Salvis. I'm the director of the Italian Association of Firearms and Ammunition Manufacturers. I'm also the executive secretary of the WFSA, that is the World Forum on Shooting Activities. That is an international association, it's an NGO at the UN since 2001. And we have also some members of WFSA here since as a Second Amendment Foundation, NRA, IPSC, and so on. So Maria asked me to do, as General Secretary of the Institute European des Arts de Sport, CHAS, that is the European Federation of Firearms Manufacturers, a brief presentation on the EU legislation on civilian firearms and ammunition. So the EACS, as you can see on the screen, is a non-profit international association founded in 1977. Was recognized by the European Authority as a spokesperson for the sporting firearms industry. Since year has established during a solid relation with the European institutions such as the European Parliament, the Commission and the Council, so the most important bodies in Brussels to deal with. Now I would like to talk a little bit about how you should, we as EACS, approach the institutions. First of all, we did a research to give a passport, an idea of what we are. That helps to deal with the politicians, with the institutions, but also to give power to ourselves to understand what do we represent. We conducted a survey, and it was amazing also to see at the European level, so European level as EU 28, the member states that are part of the EU. We, as industry, we represent 18 billion of economic activity annually. We represent, as hunting, shooting, manufacturers, dealers, and so on, 580,000 jobs. And the turnover each year of the economy behind hunting and sport shooting is more than 40 billion per year. All the field represents over 10 million law-abiding and responsible citizens. We have more in Europe, more than 1,800 manufacturers, firearms and ammunition, 200 distributors or importers, 14,000 retailers. We produce more than 2 million units of firearms per year, and a little bit less than 3 billion pieces of ammunition per year. So you understand when you talk with the institution, politicians, and so on, these are the news that you have to emphasize, to let them understand that you don't represent a small business, but a world sector that includes everything, collectors, users, dealers, and so on. So I tried to summarize in 6 slides 20 years of legislation in Europe. It was not easy, but I tried to do it. So everything started for the firearms field with the Directive 191477 that was approved in 1991, just to give some common rules to the EU 15. At that time, Europe was formed by 15 countries. You can read all the points that were established at that time. We were talking about 20 years ago. And for definition, the European Firearm Pass, what or the control standards for the professional reputation as gunsmith and so on. So this was 1991. Recent EU legislation, let's say since the publication, ratification at the EU, at the UN of the Protocol against the illicit manufacturing and trafficking of firearms, that was signed in 2001, Europe started working behind this firearm protocol that was terrible, but we had to follow it. Publishing one directive and one regulation. The directive 2008-51 implemented the directive of 91, including a lot of things that were also difficult to follow. And on 2012, they published the regulation 258 of 258 that implemented Article 10 of the firearms protocol for all those transit permit and so on that is entering force last week in Europe, and is creating a lot of problems that we are trying to face. So only to give you some idea of the Directive 2008-51, you can find all some details of this directive that implemented the directive of 91. We can go on so people can read what the regulation 258 wrote 6 points of the major things that are related for manufacturers and dealers, but also for the users. Then now we are facing a new problem. That is the DG Home, that is the Ministry of Interior of the European Commission, on a high-level meeting on November 2012, set out that with the directive they regulated the internal market of Europe. With the regulation 258 they regulated the external trade of the European manufacturers. Now they want to face another problem, to fight the illicit trading in Europe. So you can imagine what a nightmare is becoming this position of the DG Home. And Commissioner Malmström wanted to identify certain types of civilian firearms to include in the category of prohibited firearms. To have a common standards for the deactivation of weapons of firearms in all Europe, and have further controls on firearms owners. The most dangerous thing is the first point, identify certain types of civilian firearms to prohibit. I had the chance also to speak with these guys, and was amazing when I said, what is the problem with certain types of firearms? What do you would like to ban? The reply was, we would like to ban the semi-automatic firearms. I asked, why semi-automatic firearms? Because you can convert it in automatic firearms. So this is the situation that we have to face with the European institutions, and now we are working with them. Also, we want to bring them in the proof houses or in the companies to let them understand what is a semi-auto firearms. So we have to start from the beginning. So if we go ahead, yes. So DG Home. Generally, I would like to say that Europe is not like the UN. Europe works and has deadlines, and in a short times they produce new rules, new regulations. Let's see a little bit of the timing here. DG Home, after the speech of November 2012, created a European Commission Task Force Firearms. In April, they launched a public consultation on common approach to reducing the harm caused by criminals' use of firearms in the EU. This is interesting because with our network, there were over 85,000 replies saying that we don't have to change the rules in Europe. And the answer of the European Commission was that it's not credible. There is not credibility in these 85,000 replies, and they want to give the study at an external research office. And on April 2013, they created the Firearm Expert Group, the FEG, on which, let's say that at least the firearms and ammunition manufacturers are included in this group. This is only to say, on last week was published the communication from the Commission to the Council to launch this new program. The basic points are the four highlighted here: safeguarding the illicit market on the civilian firearms, reducing diversion of firearms in criminal hands, increasing pressure on the criminal market, building a better intelligence. Let's say that many dangerous things are hidden behind these 4 points. Now, from now on, we have in December the first kick-off meeting of the FEG meeting, then 2 impact assessment, and on July will arrive on the table of the politicians of the Parliament a proposal to deal with. My conclusions are, I think that these are 4 priorities on which I believe, since I work for 15 years in this field. So most of the restriction of the firearms field come from the international arena. So United Nations, OSCE, Wassenaar arrangement, all international body where you have a lot of people that talk, do not have experience, and creates a lot of problems. Priority 2, to protect our field in all its aspects, is necessary to be part of the discussion. If you're not part of the discussion, they will find all terrible solutions. It is important to join a great association at national level and able to deal with national authorities. We have to bring to our national authorities the voice of the field, of users, manufacturers, and so on. Then every association must share information and join a recognized regional or international association, many of which already exist. What really matters in this association is the people involved, not the money. We have to share information. The world is globalized. What happens in Europe tomorrow will happen in the US or in Russia. Thank you very much.